world has changed. America has changed. If something were to happen tomorrow, how self-sufficient would you be? Could you grow your own food? Could you sustain your own livestock? Could you survive? This is the We Grow Our Show with Nick and Don. Nick and Don talk about everything from politics to planting. They cover techniques, methods, and tips on how to not only survive, but thrive. Visit the website at WeGrowOurs.com. Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our Show. Get your grow on.
Lock and load. All right, so for those of you who don't know, we record on Tuesday, and this Tuesday is a very special day.
Yes, it is.
April 1st.
Yeah.
April 1st.
April Fool's Day.
Yeah,
it's something else, too.
Yeah, it's a very fitting day. About 29 years ago today, the world was changed.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I thought that's what you were talking about. I was like, wow, he's really into his birthday.
No, I wasn't going to be all, yes, day that will live in infamy forever. Dubuque, Iowa, 29 years ago, a boy was born.
Now, I noticed, I'm friends with Nick on Facebook, and he has pissed a lot of people off today. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So I am really hard on vehicles. And when I say hard on vehicles, I mean, I smash one at least once a year.
Yeah.
And just recently I had the first accident that was my actual legal fault. And that's when I killed my little Nissan Frontier, the White Rabbit. And rear-ended a guy in traffic, but
now you have the brown rabbit.
Now I got the brown turd. Anyway, so I got a big Nissan Titan, and so I had the bright idea to Google brown Nissan Titan wrecked, and I found one that had a guy in the background that had a similar build as me.
Yes.
So it looks like I'm standing next to this wrecked truck that looks like my truck. Post it on Facebook and say, well, somebody needs to tell me where I can get a tank. And I don't know what it's up. I think it's like 17.
Oh, last time I looked, it was almost 30, I thought.
Oh, gosh.
It was like 20 something.
There's a ton of people that have commented on here, and they're all, oh, are you okay? And it's awesome because when you pull a stunt like this, you feel kind of bad because everybody's loving you and saying, oh, we got a truck you can borrow, or do you need me to come pick you up? And so I've got to go to each individual and say, no, it's April Fool's Day, but thanks, man. You're awesome. And you're part of the joke now, and just keep it going. So, well, then grandma gets on there, and
Did grandma get on? Grandma got on?
But what's funny is actually grandma's the one that called me out on it. Said, yeah, sure, April Fool's Day. I'm not believing you.
She knows you well enough, huh?
Of course, 29 years she's known me.
Today.
Exactly. And she, she called me out on it, but my Aunt Jessica, she's about 9 years older than me, and we're really close. And Jessica's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? I'm never driving with you, all this stuff. And
that was my first thought.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm like, I'm never getting on the truck with him.
It's dangerous, boy. It's dangerous.
That's right.
But anyway, she's like, oh, are you okay? And so I was like, hey, Jess, check the calendar. What's today? Oh, you little beep. It's awesome.
Nice.
I sent it to my mom. She called me up hysterical. Sent it to my wife. Asked her if we had the insurance card. Anyway, I'm sleeping on the couch and been disowned by most of my family.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, happy April Fools.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So, this week we have a riveting set of, conversations.
Yeah.
Pláticas. Oh, that's Spanish. Sorry.
I have pretty good vocabulary, and I did not know what that meant. So.
Sorry, I forget. There's just some words that I speak Spanish for anybody that doesn't know or cares. I lived in Mexico for a while, learned Spanish, and there's just certain phrases and words that's what I think of instead of the English version. Kind of like the word crooked. I don't say crooked very often. The first thing that comes to mind is chueco. Doesn't that sound like more fun?
It is a lot.
Chueco. It just sounds like I'm a crazy drunk guy. Chueco. Anyway, I love the word, and that's sometimes pláticas and all these things. Like banana, I'll say plátano, just because. Anyway, back to the We Grow Ours show.
On my face.
Yeah.
Right.
For those that can't see, because this is kind of a radio thing, Don just got donut glaze over his eyes.
Yeah. I don't.
He doesn't even know what to say. There you go.
Forget
Awesome.
I can think of a lot of things to say. None of them are appropriate for putting out there. So we're just going to skip that whole thing before I get myself in a lot of trouble.
Oh, that's funny.
So, we're going to be talking today a little bit about our past shows. We want you guys to go to wegrowers.com/askus and keep asking questions. We're going to address some of the questions that we've gotten, and Nick and I want to talk a little bit about the morals. Is that kind of the topic of today?
Yeah.
The morals of prepping, as well as reviewing what we've talked about. We're on episode 12.
12, yes.
10 was live. I'm going to get it up on the website. Hopefully by the time this goes out, we'll have 10 up. If you guys noticed, if you're subscribed on iTunes or Stitcher, you may notice we went from 9 to 11 because we did a live show. That will be coming back in. We'll put that out for you guys to hear. That was on prepperbroadcasting.com, which we do on Monday nights. I wasn't able to get on the chat last night. Did you do that? No, he didn't.
No, I didn't. I was in the backyard buried in a pile of rabbit poop.
And why were you in the backyard, Nick?
I was cleaning it up.
Yeah?
Making it look pretty.
Why would you do that?
Well, I'm going to have a film crew coming over.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, I caught national attention for my skills in the line of mass murder of the cute and fluffy.
There you go.
Wants to.
You're going to say the name too. I figured you're just going to leave it at film crew.
Yeah.
I can bleep it.
Yeah, go ahead and bleep it.
You want me to bleep it? I'll leave that in there. I'm just going to bleep it so it pisses everybody off.
There you go. So,
if any of our prepper friends watch TV, they should know about it, but you know. How was that?
Oh my gosh. I feel so dirty all of a sudden. Yeah. Speaking of morals, no, we're going to be filmed and, it's a national audience, great opportunity for Hostile Hair. I like the attention that you guys give me, but we're talking millions instead of thousands and
we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Just share wegrowers.com.
There you go. Hey, we're just, we're going to
like us on Facebook and share it out there.
It's cool to share We Grow Ours with your friends.
Yeah.
You're not cool unless you're sharing.
I like doing the little tag. Well, especially I'll see a lot of these, talk about morals, and we've gone through these farm chickens. So all these alerts come out. Oh, food recall on this.
Yeah.
So I always tag it. This is why. And then I put a little We Grow Ours.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you? Something like that. And I'm always tagging it like that. Cause I actually believe in what we're doing here.
Of course.
So I gotta tell you, the weekend that Nick is supposed to be filmed, they might want to come look at an aquaponics system. But I've got this thing that happened. I had a Sylvia who was on before, referred somebody to me that wants to do an aquaponic class down in Portal, Arizona. I didn't even know where this place was. Turns out we've got a whole bunch of people coming to this thing. It's like this whole little town event. It's going to be cool. So if you guys are anywhere near New Mexico or Arizona, kind of that area, that border down there, or heck, even Mexico.
Close to the Mexican border?
It's kind of halfway between 10 and the Mexico border, right on the New Mexico border. There's a little town called Portal. They've got some pretty neat looking town there. It's cool. Huh. So we're going to have this big aquaponics class going on. I'm excited. It
sounds like a blast. I wish that I could go down to it.
A lot of like-minded people.
Yeah.
It's like half this town wants to learn about this stuff. So I'm going to actually be talking about rabbits and quail and livestock integration. Nick is the rabbit expert, but I've hung around him a few times. In fact, if you guys have gone out in Arizona to the Prepper Fest, you may have seen me talking about rabbits. So, he's taught me a lot. So I'm comfortable going out and trying to do a little rabbit intro. Hey, this is why you want to eat them. I don't know all the numbers like Nick does, but I know why you would want to do it, and I do it. So I'm excited to introduce them to that. Hopefully you'll get down there and do the same thing with a rabbit class after.
That'll be great. Yeah. So, you pave the way. You could be the forerunner on this one.
Hey, if you guys have little towns or people, or you guys got groups of people, we grow ours, share it with them, and, Nick and I will come out and talk.
In fact, one of the things that I'd like to talk to somebody about, I think it'd be a great We Grow Ours interview, is if you have a prepping community, like a group of people, like-minded people that have gotten together and have formed a small town of sorts, that everybody is
even a community around. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to live all in the same community.
And I'm not talking like anti-government Waco. I don't want to come to your compound, but I think that it'd be great if there was a small community somewhere that was living on the barter system, just kind of helping each other out, not for gain, just to just kind of do their thing and live life happy.
Yeah. If you guys know anybody like that. And it's funny because you got a film crew coming out to talk about a lot of this stuff about what preppers do.
Uh-huh.
A town like this, if you've got 50 people, 60 people, who knows, 100 people coming out, that's living prepping.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is about. That's what we're doing this for, is to reach people. And I mean, the national exposure will be wonderful.
Yes.
But it's about teaching.
Exactly. And this particular show has said that, they are focusing on education this go around. So hopefully that's the case. If not, I'm going to look like a buffoon. Either way, I like the attention. So, why don't we get on with the show a little bit? Basically what we'll do as an outline is go over topics that we've covered in the past, just in brief, to talk about, decisions made, while doing said things. That's kind of vague, but we'll see how it goes as we go along.
You guys can struggle along with us.
Yeah, baby steps here. So, the first couple of episodes, we were kind of getting our feet wet. We did our own intro and it worked. And we really found that we enjoyed doing these podcasts. Apparently both Don and I like listening to ourselves talk.
Yeah, I have to do all the editing, so I get to listen a lot more than anybody else, but.
And it makes me feel good that he's listening to me. Anyway, so I got at least one fan out there.
I didn't say that.
All right. So episode 2, we talked about the black soldier fly larvae and how awesome those are and why you need them in your plan.
Now, I am the one that generally looks at all the stats on these shows and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, I don't know if it's because it was the second one. The interview sound quality was horrible. I messed it up. I didn't know how to use the equipment quite right, and I peaked this guy's voice. That was Carl from Compost Mania. I peaked his voice, and he sounded like he was on a little walkie-talkie or something. I don't know if you've heard it, Nick.
Yeah. I listened to about 10 minutes. It was like, oh, we gotta fix that.
Yet it was one of our most popular episodes that we've done so far. Really? And I've gotten more questions on black soldier flies out of that than on any other episode of any other topic that we've done.
Wow.
So, black soldier flies is big. And guys, I'm going to repost that video of the black soldier flies eating the trout. I got to put it up again.
It's epic.
Yeah. The BioPod is wonderful. You can buy them on my website. I'm going to do a shameless plug here, ecopodgardens.com. You can buy them with or without the black soldier flies. However, I do want to mention that you don't need a BioPod to do black soldier flies. And some of the things that maybe we didn't discuss enough in the show, we like to have the experts come on, and generally experts have their own company and they make a living out of this stuff. So obviously we're going to promote their product. And as a reseller, I believe in the product. But if you want to start a black soldier flies, you don't need to buy them, people. I know we sell them, as a kit, but the best black soldier flies that you can get are the ones in your local area, because they're actually different species throughout the country. And if you can get them locally, and attract them, that's really going to be the best way to do it. It's a little bit longer of a process, but your colony will be healthier in the long run by doing that. So you can always start out with a few to kind of help keep the smell down and attract them, but make sure that you're going to go out and actually try to attract your own. Best way to do that is citrus, rotten corn, fermenting corn, things like that is kind of the good way to go start these.
So here's a question. One of the, sorry to just jump in there.
No,
but,
please.
When you're doing the fodder system.
Yes.
the water in there, I recycle the water through it a few times before I discard it.
Yes.
So I could technically take that water and run it into the black soldier, or use that water to add moisture to my black soldier fly area. And that smell, because there's a little bit of a smell.
That barley.
Barley water.
Yeah.
It smells similar to beer, starting up.
Yeah. In fact, that's probably a pretty good attractant. I haven't tried using that yet, but I'm going to. I don't see why I wouldn't, because fermented barley is another thing that attracts them. So I'm assuming the water will. So
beer barley, right? They call it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the differences out here in Arizona is that we have a very dry climate. By very dry, I mean it's 5% humidity or whatever it is. It's dry.
Mm-hmm.
Raising soldier flies out here can be a challenge because of that. So you've got to keep them damp. If you've noticed on the biopod or almost any black soldier fly container, you have a drain.
Uh-huh.
And the whole point is to let that water drain out. I've never had water draining out of mine unless I've added it. So,
oh really?
Yeah.
So you never have like the compost tea build up in that?
Not really, because it's so dry, it's all gone. So you've got to keep, I artificially add water. So it would be wonderful to do that out of the fodder system.
Cause you could, if you really wanted to supercharge it, you could add a small mister in there or something.
Yeah.
Or some little drizzle effect.
Timer or something
and even recycle the water if you really, something to think about. Cause then you can really aerate the hormones and the pheromones that they produce to attract more.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good way. That's been one of the questions. So, Nick, I know you don't use a biopod at your house, do you?
Not yet. I actually have this redneck stuck together, 55-gallon drum that I was playing around with. It is not efficient. It's not pretty.
Didn't you put like a ramp on it on the edge, like a hose or something in a coil so they could climb up? Was that you?
I tried that. I think there's a thing on YouTube about using a 5-gallon bucket, and I tried doing it with a 55-gallon drum, and it was a mess, and you couldn't get at it. I didn't put a drain in it, and I was drowning them.
Oh yeah. You have to have the, and if it depends on what you're adding. So the stuff I'm adding, the coffee grinds, things like that.
I was
seeing that.
They were getting rabbit guts. So
yeah, you've got to wait till that colony is established.
Yeah.
For that.
And I was doing it wrong. This was before I'd really met you.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what I was doing. And I think I ended up cutting the barrel up and using it for another project.
Gotcha.
But I have a biopod. I haven't had enough.
Oh, that's right. You do have. I gave it to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we traded for it.
All right.
Give me jack squat, brother.
Yeah, I've got some pretty nice cages at my house. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
I meant that I supplied that to you.
There you go.
Still waiting on my ducks, by the way.
Dude, it's only an hour and a half away. You come get your ducks. Anyway, the point being, those things are awesome. If you're having a fly problem around your animals or anything really, if you have black soldier flies, you will ward off the common housefly.
Yeah. Yeah. They produce a pheromone, and what they're doing is they're eating their food supply. Mm-hmm. So the houseflies don't want to lay their eggs.
Yeah. Cause the eggs will straight up be eaten by the black soldier fly larva because it's just other organic material in there.
Yeah.
In fact, the black soldier fly larvae themselves don't want a cocoon in the food because their brothers and sisters will eat them. So their instinct is to go to ground.
Well, yes, and no. So the reason that these things are self-harvesting is because they want to go to ground. So they'll actually travel up the side of the biopod. They'll fall into a container. What you want to do is, if you're doing this in a barn or somewhere where there's no dirt, you want to have a spot that they can kind of burrow and lay their eggs. What I found is actually that's where a 5-gallon bucket comes in handy with topsoil, a wicking bed. If you're using aquaponics, put a wicking bed somewhere like that. Drop a couple of them in there if you keep your biopod or any other black soldier fly composter near that area. Give them something, your compost pile, your actual compost pile to come out. What they'll do is then they'll fly around and then they'll come back to the biopod and lay their eggs. Now what I do is I take cardboard and I rip it. And so
about an inch.
Yeah, I usually do like a 4-inch by 4-inch piece.
Okay.
And I have it inside the biopod on top of a jar that's turned upside down. Just to hold it, like a Tupperware basically. And I actually keep that damp. And the black soldier flies will fly in and they'll lay their eggs in that corrugated cardboard.
Yeah.
And they'll lay their eggs in there and then they'll hatch and they'll come down and feed as grubs. So they want to lay them where the food is.
Yeah.
But
well, they don't want to lay it in the food though.
Yeah, I've never looked to see by the time I see them, they're big enough to be eaten. They're out there actively eating the food. So yeah, they're laying their eggs, as far as I know, just in the cardboard.
Yeah. In fact, I looked at one design. The guy took the edge of cardboard and cut it about an inch long or an inch wide strip about 3 feet long.
Yeah.
And coiled it on itself. So it had like this honeycomb looking thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do.
And then wrapped a rubber band around it.
Yep.
And hung that on the roof of the biopod.
You can tape them up to it. You can
there's a
hang
little,
them where the little screw is.
Yeah, there's a little screw right there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that one was pretty cool. And then when it deteriorates over time, you just throw it in and they eat it.
Right.
So, and then you get another one.
So you don't want to take and feed them all, because some of them need to get out and go to ground in order to lay those eggs. So
by some, remember, 900 eggs per female, somewhere around there.
Right. A nice healthy colony will produce a lot of eggs.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
You want to, put 15 or 20 of them a day, I would think, is kind of what I do, and throw those out. And you want them close, but you want good soil they can get into and be happy too.
Exactly.
Arizona, again, the dryness and the heat are two of the biggest deterrents, but you can attract them. Yes. So if you go to thebiopod.com, there's actually a lot of information on there, guys. And one of them is a zone map. And on that zone map, it will tell you, hey, this is where you live. This is, kind of the zones you're in, and what the best time of year, and whether you have black soldier flies in your area. If you do, it's going to be a lot easier to get those local ones to come, and it's going to be, in the long run, better for you than if you are trying to do this artificially. Now, you can still do it artificially and keep them. It's just a lot harder to do.
Might take a little bit of climate control.
Yeah, a little bit of time too. I mean, getting those things established. So, yeah, I love the products, but we've been just asked about black soldier flies. You don't need a biopod to do it. It's a great way of doing it. It's a phenomenal product.
Yep. And so we question moral decision on black soldier flies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no reason not to that I can see why.
Exactly. Natural way to get rid of your manure. You can go green, save some green.
Yeah. And it produces heat. It produces the compost material, to grow everything. There's no moral dilemma around black soldier flies.
Perfect. So moving on then, the black soldier flies become food for quail.
Yes.
We had Scott Yarish on episode 3, and we discussed quail and the benefits thereof. Now, I'm a numbers guy. I'm not like the pocket protector wearing, calculator toting numbers guy, but I like looking at the numbers and seeing if it makes sense. And quail really makes sense. 40% more efficient than chickens.
Yep.
And
for meat.
For meat. Just for the meat.
Yeah.
Now you look at a quail compared to the size of its egg. That is where you'll also see the amount of feed that it takes to make per egg. If we go, volume, not units.
Right.
Far surpasses, or excuse me.
Nutritionally.
Is better nutrition and higher volume per pound of feed.
Right.
Quail eggs are higher volume per pound of feed than
chicken eggs. Yeah.
Because you have to remember that chicken's huge compared to a quail, and the ratio
it burns up more energy.
Exactly. Burns energy moving. So if you're doing an egg operation or a meat operation, quail is definitely the way to go.
I do not raise, I eat the quail eggs. I do not raise my quail for the eggs. I incubate most of our eggs.
Okay.
I do like the occasional quail egg. I pickle them, and Scott Yarish on the Yarish homestead, and he's actually got a quail talk site that he started. He's got some amazing recipes. Yeah. He's got a really good recipe on there for pickled quail eggs, almost identical to what I use. Phenomenal.
Huh.
But I like the meat.
Oh yeah, totally. And people are like, oh, there's just no meat on them. Why would you waste all that time plucking them and stuff? That's where it's great.
Yeah.
It took me the first quail that I did, because I bought a couple hundred from Scott, and the first quail that I did took me about a minute and a half to just kind of go through it and everything, taking my time. Then after that, it was like, I don't know, 20 seconds to 30 seconds a bird, just cutting, gutting, ripping, and plucking, and it was done.
Yep.
They looked like little raw, ready to cook turkeys.
Yeah, they do. We do an assembly line at my house.
Oh yeah.
Kids. So we snip snip the heads,
Uh-huh.
pass it down. They snip the wings, snip the legs, and then I generally will
Finish the job.
finish it. And, we can sometimes one of the kids don't like snipping. And this is, I guess, quail, moral.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing that we have with rabbits and other things, but
Well, yeah,
there's more dilemma.
It's a living creature with a face, so it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to get over. But you have to remember that that's difficult because we have lost contact with where our food comes from. And this is a bigger moral problem in society than actually killing animals for your own food, is allowing somebody else to do it who just doesn't give a crap anymore.
Oh, yeah. Because they process thousands an hour.
You no longer respect life when you're killing a couple 100,000 animals a day. Obviously not one person's doing that, but when you work for a factory that uses a large kill floor, a giant, I think they've got a giant transformer that basically slides all of the hogs together and then sends a jolt through them all. Just some pretty nasty stuff. Now, that's not going to stop me from eating my bacon, but I try and get it from a smaller farm where I know the guy that's actually doing the hogs in, and he's going to do it right.
Oh, totally agree. Yeah.
So, as far as moral decision to raise quail, yes, there's something you're going to have to get over. You're going to have a warm-blooded animal in your hand, and you're going to turn it into meat.
Right.
Now, you're going to have to kick out your Disney beliefs of this animal talking and carrying on a conversation with you, because it's just not going to happen. That's animals are cute and fluffy, and they put them in the cartoons and turning kids into vegetarians. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Well, and
yeah, it sounds like there's a can of worms you didn't really want to open there.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there. I will say that if you're having trouble processing your own food, quail are probably a pretty good place to start because they're very easy.
Yep.
You don't need to get attached to them because it's from from hatch to plate in 6 weeks.
Yep.
Maybe 8, somewhere right between that 6 and 8.
And if you're going with the brown Corturnix.
Yeah, the Corturnix, the Japanese Corturnix.
They all look alike.
Right. They all look alike. They don't have a whole lot of attitudes. So they're pretty easy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one little flick of the wrist and they're dead very quickly.
They use a lot less space than chickens or
majorly. Yeah. And what's funny is these animals have been they've been domesticated for a couple thousand years now.
They are a food bird.
Exactly.
They don't reproduce much on their own.
Yeah, it's really hard to get their instincts back to being broody.
Yes.
So you have to incubate the eggs, or you can couple banny chickens with.
Yeah, we've got our banny sitting some quail eggs right now just to see if it works. So I don't see why it won't.
They're the adoptive mothers of the.
We incubate.
World.
So I'm still having a problem. Our hatch rate, we've gotten pretty darn high.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have is that we're losing them as babies within the first week. We'll lose 3 or 4 or 5 sometimes out of this. Well, and I don't know if you're hatching 30. We'll have to talk with Scott about this too. But so there are challenges just raising that. And I'll tell you, I hate it when they die. Worse than I hate processing for my food.
Yeah, because it's a waste.
Well, it's not just that I feel bad for the little thing. It's like we had one come out with all the little deformed legs the other day.
Oh,
like, what do you do with it? You put it out of its misery and you gotta, which is fine.
Fish food,
yeah. The chickens would love to have it, but
chickens are nasty.
They got a baby rabbit, man. They tore that thing apart.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, not one of our wild
they
baby.
caught a wild one?
They caught a wild. My chickens love rabbit. I don't know how they got a taste for it. I guess we had one that wasn't doing well, and they rip those. They see a baby rabbit, they run after it in the yard. They'll chase it down. It's like watching a pack of wolves. They'll surround it and like jump around, and It's insane.
I'm sorry. Don, don't ever fall down out there. I got this vision from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, the little raptors.
The freaking raptor comes out, clever girl. Just rips the dude apart.
I mean, it is unreal what these chickens do. So, and we feed them well. So it's not like they're not hungry. They're not like, but they love.
They kill
anyway, back
for
to
the
quail.
sport of it.
Yeah, they're not vegetarian.
Don Cupper's chickens. The apocalypse.
I should film them.
I'll put some music to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Flight of the Valkyrie or something.
That's a good one. Flight of the, I think
it's the Ride of the Valkyrie.
The Ride of the,
Anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, morally, that's the hardest part to me is the little ones. You feel like, oh, what did I do wrong that I lost these babies? They have food, they have water, they have the proper temperature, and I'm still losing some. So it kind of sucks. It merits further investigation though, because of your compassion for these animals. Right. You are going to continue to research and figure out how you can be more, productive with it. Yeah. And I have no problem processing them.
So let's look at the law on that. Now, we're a governed people. We've got a government that's supposed to be representatives of us that write laws to control the general population now, instead of actually.
You mean to protect the general?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that razor wire that's facing in, that's to keep the terrorist out.
That's right. And just again, the last 3 shows I've had to say this. The NSA is, it's nick@hostlehair.com.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, what I'm getting at is, what if it's illegal to raise and process your own birds?
I never thought of checking, and nor do I care. So.
I will second that. We're not telling you to break the law, but honestly, if you feel like being a law-abiding citizen, go ahead and get to the back of the bus. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never thought of looking to see whether quail are legal or not. Mm-hmm. I'm on a zoned area where I'm allowed to have livestock.
Yeah.
So I know there's...
My neighborhood's controlled by Nazis.
And I'm county. I'm county. I'm Maricopa County out here. So out here we have county, and city ordinances, kind of zonings, things like that. I'm out in county. I'm out in the desert. I've got 1.25 acres. I'm allowed to have cows if I want to. I think they limit the number, but I'm allowed to do it. So yeah, I've got no problems. And if it is against the law, then you know what? Arrest me for raising my own quail.
Yeah.
I'll make sure people hear that.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
I'm not even selling these things. They're for my own consumption.
Exactly.
Heck, I homeschool too though.
So if you've got something to lose, go ahead and look into the law.
Yeah.
But if not, yeah, if somebody's going to enforce that.
I guess we can get to the moral issue around selling the food you raise.
There you go.
Maybe there's we have goats. Mm-hmm. A few too many right now for my taste. I'm not going to go there. My wife does listen to the show, so I love you, dear. I love you so much. So we have a few screaming baby goats at home. That are still being bottle fed.
Oh my gosh.
And none in milk actually right now. So that should be remedied fairly soon because the ones due soon. Mm-hmm. Anyway, raw milk is illegal. The stupidest thing I've ever heard. You go do I'm going to get on a rant. We're going to actually have, a goat person on here and we're going to talk about selling raw milk.
She's awesome. She's got horns. It's just goat person. Yeah. Oh, was that the other one? Okay, never mind. That's for a different show.
Yes. So raw milk is, whether it's cow or goat, is illegal in many, many places.
Yeah.
In fact, out here we can sell raw milk, not for human consumption.
Do you have to denature it?
Denature? You mean pasteurize it?
No. Denature as in like mix it with something so it's not for human consumption.
No.
So you can sell it without.
I can sell it as pet food.
Okay.
Yeah, we can sell it as I
think that's another one of those laws that
this is wherever you live, look it up because it is different everywhere. And out here, you have to say, I think there, in some places, you have to like turn it gray or add something funky in it so it doesn't look like milk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, come on.
They say add charcoal to it.
Yeah, but it's weird. If you go look at the statistics on raw milk, the biggest culprit in that seems to be listeria from what I've read. And, well, we don't have that problem. So, yeah,
Exactly.
it's really not a problem.
And for those of you that have not experienced the milk industry, that problem comes from not washing the udders properly, before milking. So just clean them up real good. If the goat or the cow lays in its own poop,
Yeah.
then you're going to have some residual bacteria on there. So just clean it off real good and you're not going to get crap in your milk. And oh, hey, look at that. You can still drink it.
Well, and imagine this. We go out, we wash the udders off, we milk. I go in and I pour it through a coffee filter if I don't use my automatic milker.
Oh, yeah.
Which I talked about.
Lazy.
Pour it through a coffee filter. And from there, you know what we do with it?
What's that?
We drink it.
Oh.
I don't boil it. I don't kill it. We don't do any of that crap. We drink it.
That's right.
And get this. You talk about the NSA needing to know an email address now? Yeah. Mine? Yeah. You know what? My kids drink it. Yep.
It's child abuse. Call CPS.
I know. It's horrible. It's horrible. But we're very careful with it. And if the goats seem sick or anything, the milk doesn't get ingested. And by knowing our food and our livestock and having that type of knowledge and say, okay, hey, our goat has the runs. Let's not drink the milk right now. I guarantee you there is not a single commercial farm out there that knows one of their cows or their goats has, diarrhea and is going to stop serving milk because of it. So yeah, there's a whole thing around that. By you want to talk moral issues with livestock, and I know we're getting off topic for our show list, but I know my livestock.
Yeah.
And we're really careful about it.
And when it's mass produced, that's the other thing is you're going to get more and more problems the more you try and condense and mass produce large quantities of
That's right.
of animals. That's when
that automatic milker doesn't know if they have mastitis. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Something.
I think there's another T in there.
All right.
Mastitis.
Yeah. That.
It hurts.
So
it hurts my head.
They don't know that. We do.
Exactly.
We're out there milking. Mm-hmm. So what's our next show?
The next show was Edible Insects, one of my favorites.
Tiny Farms, openfarms.org. And it's, Tiny Farms is the company that we had talked to. They came out with their tiny farm.
Oh, really?
You can go now buy the plans or parts or whatever you want to for your open source mealworm farm at home. I haven't gotten it yet. I'm going to build one. Phenomenal stuff. What I want to try, I'm thinking of doing a larger pool in my garage to raise tilapia, not just for aquaponics, but actually, Nick's making faces at me.
I'm not trying to.
Okay. Do you have an itchy nose?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying not to pick my nose. I thought that'd be a little bit more distracting.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's okay. Anyway.
Oh, crap. You're editing this, not me.
Oh, I'm not editing this show.
Oh, poop.
Yeah. We're going to, if I put this pool in, the way I'm thinking of doing it is to take their idea and the net that they use. And I'm thinking because of the moisture again in Arizona, that would be a moist building.
Yeah.
And I can keep it a little cooler. I'm thinking of doing that over top of my pond.
Just let them fall in when they hit maturity?
Yeah. And let the fish eat them. Yeah. I have to do more research on it, but, and also I will eat them. I know, Nick, you're not a big fan of edible bugs.
I will eat what eats them. I will be a second-hand bug consumer.
So you would raise bugs to feed your livestock?
Of course.
Okay. But you don't want to raise bugs to eat?
No.
See, I have no problem with it. As long as I know it's a healthy type bug. I mean, honey has bugs in it.
Dude, don't ruin it for honey.
Honey rocks.
Exactly. Shut up about bugs.
Oh, there's a lot of bugs in it. Especially if you go raw honey.
Oh, I'm kidding. Actually, I'm not as big of a girl as I'm making it out to sound. I could see myself eating something that's been milled, but the fact that it's still got legs and no, that I couldn't do. I couldn't just throw a cricket in my mouth and
I've told you I've done that with the black soldier flies at the shows before. A lot of people come around, oh, that's so gross. And I'll pop one up like a piece of popcorn. And
all right, I'm going to throw up on your microphone.
Again, if you know where it's if you know how it's raised and you know where it comes from, I don't have a problem with it. So raising bugs for human consumption, in my opinion, is going to help save this planet and save a lot of people on it. And I think we need to get over that, because as far as a protein source, I think it's a moral responsibility to look at other things besides beef and other things we can do and other ways we can use this stuff. And something like crickets or mealworms that can be processed into a flour when it comes to crickets, and a high protein flour and fed to people, I think it's a phenomenal idea. And I think morally we have an obligation to look into it, even if it's gross and we decide we don't like it, look into it and give it a chance. Don't turn the nose up at it and say, well, they're bugs. I'd never do that. You'd be surprised at what you do if you're hungry. And if we can, take some of this agricultural land and even in a small area, save some to actually grow crops on. We're using 70% of our land to raise cattle and other livestock now. Eventually we're going to run out of land to do that stuff. So I think we have a moral obligation to at least look into it.
I agree. I mean, if I was hungry enough, I'd eat it willingly. Rabbit's so much more tasty.
Oh, I agree. But if you took some of that and mix it with rabbit and put it in the sausage, you'd never even know it. It would give the rabbit the fatty content that you're looking for,
True.
Which is why you add bacon in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're raising it at home, because I'm not going to raise a pig at home.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to do it. But if I can do mealworms and I've got that nice protein content and that fat content, and I grind it up with my rabbit and maybe a little bit of pork fat that I get from the butcher shop for next to nothing. And, would I eat that? Sure.
All right. You're making your case and you're making me hungry.
Good. What was our next show?
We talked a lot about the Homegrown Freedom Act, which is picking up steam, and it's now in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, I think the problem is, and hopefully by Friday this will be resolved, it's sitting in the House, right?
It's on the agenda.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
I don't think they'd moved it there. I think it's just sitting.
Really?
We need this thing to move forward.
I thought that Robson said that he'd put it on.
Well, maybe I'm missing something, because I hadn't.
We'll double check.
Yeah.
Maybe put it in the notes.
Yeah, again, please support it.
Yes.
Nick, tell them, in case you're new and you don't know about this, and not just for Arizona, but why this is important for everyone.
Yes, we plan on this being, I plan on this being viral. This has to go out. People have to see this. This is fighting for individual rights. Most of the time on the township levels, rights are slowly being chipped at, taken away constantly. This is, in Arizona history for the last 60 years, the first bill that actually puts the rights back into the individual's hands. So what it is the prohibition of townships, municipalities, and cities from prohibiting fowl, basically. But that's not the only thing that our goal is. The goal is to get people raising their own food. In order to do that, we need to override the cities, because the cities are catering to people that own HOAs, not homeowners in homeowners associations, but the people that run them. Those people want to maintain control. And in order to do that,
Of the entire city. And this doesn't even affect HOAs right now in Arizona.
It doesn't have anything to do with HOAs. In fact, it says that if the CC&Rs of a homeowner, a signed contract between a homeowner and the HOA, it doesn't apply. But if you're in a county island, if you're in a city without...
County island you can.
Yeah, county island. Any of those places, this law applies. Basically, like, for example, Chandler, Arizona, outlawed chickens completely. I think you have to have 10,000 square feet and you have to have the coop, no, not 10,000, it's 43,000. It's an acre. You have to have an acre in order to have chickens, and you have to have the coop 100 feet away from your neighbor's property. Now, if you do the math, there's this very narrow area in the middle of an acre, if you have a square acre, that you could have chickens. I mean, seriously, 2 foot wide. You can't do it. So the way the law reads, you will be breaking the law if you have chickens in Chandler. This law, SB 1151, negates all other laws about chickens. Now, they still have the ability to limit the number of chickens and whether or not a male fowl can be on the property. And with that, I'll just put in my 2 cents worth that honestly, if they don't make as much noise as a dog, they should be legal. Bottom line.
I agree.
Now, the wording of the law states fowl, not just chickens, but fowl.
Quail.
That leaves you open for quail, ducks, turkeys, all of these things. So this is something to really support. Don't just let it fade away. Don't just let it sit there and hope for other people. We need the support. So on that same episode, if you're on Facebook, go to the Backyard Farmers United.
Yep.
And Homegrown Freedom Act.
So I've redone the show notes from now on because I got tired of doing every second type thing. Uh-huh. So everything we talk about where there's going to be a link at the bottom. So if we talk about the Homegrown Freedom Act, I'm going to have a link to it at the bottom.
Cool.
So,
all right, moving on. That same episode, we talked to, I'm going to call him Brother Pelly because he goes to my church. Doug Pelly is his name. And he has since told me that calling him an expert in ham radio is an oxymoron, since the prefix of ham is to directly say
amateur.
An amateur.
Gotcha.
So if he's an expert ham radio operator, it's oxymoron. Anyway, so he is really good at operating an amateur radio. We'll call him that. He knows
he's our
his
mentor
stuff.
about it.
Exactly. He's a mentor. He's more experienced than we are.
Yeah.
So it was good having him on.
What's the moral story to ham radio other than everybody should have one in case you don't have another way to communicate, and it's wonderful for that?
Without a license, it's illegal to communicate on it.
Unless it's an emergency, from what I understand. Because I have one. I could communicate on it in an emergency, right?
Yeah. You have the ability to, because you have the technology to do it, whether or not, if there's a government enforcement to not do it, that's breaking the law.
Well, yeah, but again, an emergency you can.
Of course.
So I think a ham radio is something everybody should have.
Yeah, I think that's.
And a weather radio.
Mm-hmm. And you can get them that crank up so that you have.
Well, we have a little charger that'll crank like for flashlights and for batteries and for their ham radio. Yeah, absolutely.
So after that episode, we followed up with
Justin Rohner.
We had Justin Rohner from Agriscape.
Oh, that was fun.
Oh yeah, that guy knows his stuff.
And it's one of the classes from the homegrown the conference coming up.
Yep, the backyard homesteading conference.
Thank you.
The homegrown.
And by the way, this episode should be out here on Friday if I don't mess it up like I did the last one. Saturday is the show.
Saturday and Sunday.
5th and 6th.
So get your tickets bought. If you're listening to this and you haven't bought tickets, it's not too late. It's going to be a couple hours. We're shutting it down Friday evening so we can get a count for the next day.
And then we sound them at the door, right?
We are, but there's no guarantee you'll get in.
Right.
That's the thing is, if you want a guaranteed spot,
get your tickets.
Buy it ahead of time.
Yeah.
All you last minute people out there, thanks for screwing up the numbers. No, just kidding.
How about We Grow Ours promo code?
We Grow Ours promo code.
What do we have? A 10% off? $10 off?
$10 off.
$10 off has been the promo code. I think that expires. And Nick, you had one at Hostel Hair. I had one at Eco Pod Gardens.
I think it was yesterday.
It expired yesterday, and this show doesn't come out for Friday. How about a Friday morning special? We'll see if I can go ahead and put in podcast. How's that?
Podcast. All right.
You guys do a podcast? We'll
I'll talk
give you
to
$10
my people
off.
and see if you can get with your people.
So Friday only.
Friday only.
Friday only.
So if you hear this first time, podcast will be the code. You go to backyardhomesteadconference.com.
Boy, that's a mouthful. Backyardhomesteadconference.com.
Exactly. It is a mouthful. Enter in that promo code and that'll get you $10 off.
Very cool.
Okay. So I hope to see you there.
Yeah.
The episode after that was solar. Also a pretty big hit.
Yeah. One of the things that, I had been questioned about on that was why didn't we talk about batteries? Because batteries is a huge part of solar.
Mm-hmm.
So we should probably do that. on one of these. I think we should have our solar guy back on and see if we can talk maybe a little bit more of the details about it, as far as not why you would want to put it on your house or what to watch for. That's kind of what that episode was about. But I think in a future episode, we need to talk about batteries. Yes. And guys, if I'm wrong here, or if that's something you'd like to hear, wegrowrs.com/ask us. Let me know.
Yes. So Chris Fry really helped us out there. I don't think there's any moral issues with going with solar. That's obviously a go green type thing.
Right.
Not that all go green is a good thing. I mean, killing people and using them for fertilizer would be going green. That's not good. So
where did that even come from? It's just like you pull this little thing out of there. Ooh, shiny.
No, not out of the air. It's in the dark catacombs of my mind.
Oh, all right.
I've thought about it. There's some people in the world that are completely useless alive.
Yeah.
Okay, that one gave me chills. Sorry, I'll take that back. Oh gosh. And then after that, I think we did an episode talking about urban farming, right?
Yeah, in fact, I've got a question on that episode. Okay. And I know we're getting short on time, from Lana Jackson. And I'm just going to go, this is going to be a minute because I'm going to read this whole thing, but I want to get this in. So, Lana, thank you for your question. She says, just to give you an idea about where I'm coming from, let me give you an introduction. My hubby and I are two stupid city kids who bought the farm after our son was fully grown and out of our hair. Most people took this as evidence that we'd finally gone insane, but we enjoy our new life. So I don't blame her. I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they started off by raising 3 rabbits, 12 chickens, and 13 acres of neglected Iowa farmland. And this is coming kind of close to where you grew up, Nick. 3 years later, I quit my full-time paying job to be a full-time farmer instead. So they now have expanded to 25 chickens, 13 ducks, 50 rabbits, 2 turkeys, and a reluctant 1951 Ford 8N tractor.
Ooh.
Yes. The plus is for the babies on the way. That was the 50 plus rabbits, because we all know how rabbits breed.
Yeah, 50 today, 4,000 tomorrow.
So that's kind of their history there. So she says she has a lot to learn. She's been listening to us talk about raising rabbits, and it appears that we're using hutches. So we're actually, Nick, you designed cage systems.
Yes.
And that's what you use. So they're using only they're using them for 4 months in the winter, and the remainder of the time they have their rabbits on pasture. We use PVC rabbit tractors that they've designed to drag them along, and it mows the pasture, so you get the idea there.
I do.
Okay. So she was wondering, is there a particular reason why you use hutches versus pasture? And then her other question is about fodder, which we'll get to in a minute, because I want you to answer that.
Okay. Here in Arizona, there are a lot of parasites in the soil.
But what about Iowa?
Iowa, I don't know. I've never raised rabbits in Iowa. I would assume that there are, because in Iowa, the wild rabbits catch them too. During the summertime, you don't eat rabbits in Iowa. Right. You don't eat them anywhere because it heats up enough that their immune systems drop down. When the immune systems drop down, the parasites flourish. When it starts cooling off, the rabbits are able to maintain a better immune system.
So it's pretty much parasite related.
Parasite related.
So it's a health issue is what you're saying.
It's a health issue, as well as, do you have individual rabbit tractors for each one of your rabbits, or do you have large?
It sounds like she has a large one that she pulls along.
All right. So you have no control over who's humping who. Sorry for the term, but
what if they did one for females, one for males?
Then you're going to have some territorial issues as well. So if you have the right amount of space with the right amount of number of rabbits, when you divide it out into the different sexes, and you can maintain a good log of who's breeding who, so you don't have any.
And that's the quality control that the hutches provide, or the cage system that you have.
Yeah. It's not a cage system, Don. It's a live food storage system.
Yes. The meat system.
Exactly. So that's why I go with all hutches, and that's why I build them a certain size and all of those things included. So I am looking at a rabbit tractor design that will keep them off of the ground and out of the dirt.
Nice. So
that they can go through a planted field without being in touch and touching the ground.
Gotcha. So Lana, I hope that answers your rabbit question. The other question about the fodder, They're starting a fodder system to diminish the feed costs for and further control the inputs. They'd like to, hang on. I would like to research I lost it on my phone. Some of the nutritional information of various grains so they can make a balanced and nutritional mixture. Do you have any resources to suggest?
Oh boy.
And if you don't right now, I can always put the link up, but
I think I've got one thing it's about 16 to 17% protein.
Well, that's fodder as far as barley.
Yeah, that's barley.
When we talk about
wheat.
fodder, we're talking mostly about barley, right? Mm-hmm. So what is the difference? Is there a big difference for rabbits between the barley and the wheat?
No, because the only difference is wheat grows a little bit slower than barley, just a touch.
What else would you sprout?
You could sprout alfalfa if you can afford it.
Gotcha.
You could sprout clover leaves if you can afford it. The problem is finding the seed at a reasonable price to where it actually benefits you to sprout it. Because you can buy, I believe, a pound of alfalfa seed at a store is about $11.
Wow.
That's retarded expensive.
Yeah.
So you be smart about it. If you can buy a 50-pound bag, it's costing you $20. Yeah, go for it. If you're buying it sealed up in some space age looking bag that's 100%
taking all the oxygen out.
Exactly. Then yeah, you're not doing it right.
Right.
It's all about here's an idea. Find the nearest willow tree. If you've got a farm out there, start planting some willow hutches or some willow hedges and get a bunch of willow going, because Iowa and willows, they go together pretty well. Willow trees will grow 4 foot a year. I believe each one of the weeping willows will grow a 4-foot strand a year per, I don't know the technical terms, but they're branches, I believe. So you can be harvesting a lot of those. And the rabbits will eat and eat and eat willow branches and get all of the terranine that they need, which is preventative measure against the type of disease, kind of like coccidia.
Right.
There's a lot of things that benefits rabbits with that. A lot of fiber in that. You can feed willow alongside of your fodder and you'll have a nice balanced system there. In fact, there is a book that I recommend by Boyd Craven Jr., and it is called The Urban Rabbit Project, the Beyond the Pellet. So look that up. If you're on Facebook, go to Backyard, go to mine. I think we've got an ad up on there.
HostileHair.com.
Mm-hmm. Well, HostileHair.com. You can click on the Facebook button. It'll take you right there. Facebook.com/hostile.hair. In some of the notes, there is a button that will take you to Boyd's book.
Cool. Thank you, Nick.
Hopefully that answers your questions, or it gives you enough more to call me up.
Yeah. So we are going to end the show.
Okay.
And we'll continue on to the rest of these morals, because we are trying to get our timing a little bit better. Mm. Because we also are on prepperbroadcasting.com, and they're moving to this new format. So we're going to try and actually help him out and help everybody out. Keep our shows to an hour long. You think we can do it?
I don't know. I've got the gift of gab.
I could do this for, 3 hours a week. I just don't want to bore everybody that much. So thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for joining us. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Facebook.com/WeGrowOurs. What's our Twitter? @WeGrowOurs.
I don't know. You run the Twitter.
Really? Speaking of fodder systems before we go, keep on our WeGrowOurs.com, because we're going to be making some announcements about fodder systems.
Oh, yeah. Spoiler.
After we have time, after this class and the filming and the other stuff that we're doing, there will be some other announcements. So, all right. Thanks again for joining us.
Keep locked and loaded.